Hey there, Jessie here from Jessie on a Journey. Super excited to be doing another live workshop with everyone. Today we're going to be talking about 31 of my favorite travel blogging tips for profits, growth, and keeping your sanity, because for anyone who's ever blogged about travel or anything else, you know that it is so much more than simply writing great stories. There is a lot of time, blood, sweat, and tears that goes into it, and a lot of us have spent many nights up really late just in our bat caves on the computer. So mental health is also very, very, very important when thinking about travel blogging. So I just want to quickly say the reason that I am doing all these workshops is that we are launching the second round of Travel Blog Prosperity on October 1st. So if you want to join, I'm giving away the first month for only $1, less than the cost of a cup of coffee. You will get a full month of travel blog coaching. So if you want to join that, the address is jessieonajourney.com/travel/blog/prosperity. And when I repost this video, I'll also include the link. So that's jessieonajourney.com/travel-blog-prosperity. And this is a full-scale coaching program. It's not like an 8-week course where I leave you on your own with a bunch of content to decipher on your own, or those classes where you do get some help during the class, but then you're left to your own devices to figure it out. This is a fully, I'm with you 24/7. There's live coaching calls, there's a forum, there are videos, there's text, there's workbooks and checklists, and we dive really deep. And I'm going to get into some of these tips, and you'll start to get an idea of why my teaching style is a bit different. One thing, well, there's a few things I've noticed. For one, many people getting into travel blogging know that they love to travel and they want to write about travel and they want to get paid for it. And they don't really know much beyond that. And that's great, and there's nothing wrong with that. Of course, anyone who's travel blogging wants to travel and wants to make money from it. But if you really, 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 really want to have a sustainable blogging business, it all starts with that foundation of having a purpose, which is actually my first tip I'm going to go over. But really understanding how you can help people and continuously doing that through your content, through your social media shares, through your email newsletters, so that people feel like you've helped them and they keep coming back. Even if you don't have products and services, having these return visitors is what's going to get brands to want to pay you. They'll see you have a really, really devout audience. And this is how you do that. And it's something I talk about a lot in my teaching. I don't just brush over branding and purpose. That is the absolute most important part of this whole thing, is understanding that. And then once you have that, the likes, the comments, the traffic, the SEO, that will all just make, it's so much better. So anyway, there are 31 tips in total. The first 10 tips were given via email to my subscription list. And if you're not a subscriber yet, don't worry. I'm going to give you a link to opt in and just be sent to the full list right away. But I'm going to be going over 11 through 31 live right now. So if you have any questions, any comments, any takeaways, just let me know. If you hear that scratching noise, that's my cat trying to bite me. So anyway, maybe he'll make an appearance. Get off my foot. So tip number 11 is purpose gives clarity. So that's what I was just talking about. Really starting from the beginning and knowing what your purpose is beyond just traveling. What do you want to teach people? So I always give the example of a very simple sentence. I am a blank. Who are you? Are you a scuba diver? Are you a solo traveler? And I help blank group of people do blank. So, I'm a scuba diver and I help newbie scuba divers find the world's best scuba diving spots. Whatever it is, fill in those blanks and then continuously live that mission through your blog posts, through your social media shares, through your emails, because you really do want to grow your subscription list, your email subscriber list, and continuously nurture them through teaching them tactics, through busting myths, through teaching free workshops like this and inviting them along for the ride. Tip number 12, solve their pain points. So we all know we want to, well, I don't know if everyone knows, but you should be trying to solve your readers' problems. But a tip for really, really resonating with your readers is going beyond the problems to understand the pain points. And by pain points, I mean the emotions, the feelings that surround these problems. So something I like to do is I'm always on Reddit, and there's Quora, there's Yahoo, there's a ton of forums where you can find a forum related to your niche and search what questions are being answered. Write down those questions, make a list of the most common questions and topics that come up, and then figure out what is the underlying pain point. You know, if someone's asking about, you know, if there's a new solo traveler, someone who's never traveled solo, and they're asking if a certain destination is safe, maybe a lack of experience is the problem, but the pain point might be a true fear of that lack of experience putting them in danger. So really try to speak to these pain points, and you'll really, really notice a difference in the traction that your content gets. 13, drive counts. And for a lot, it's great, you know, that you want to travel and make money, and it is really, really tough. You know, there's perks, there's free trips, there's hotel stays, but eventually you're gonna need to pay your rent. So there's gotta be more to it that keeps you going than a free hotel stay or, you know, a free backpack. Make sure that your passion is really, really, really there, because this topic that you're teaching, this mission that you're living, is gonna be something that hopefully you're doing for the rest of your life. You don't need to be everywhere is tip number 14. When I first started blogging, it was 2011, so I didn't even really have to think about this because it was like Facebook and Twitter were the only options, so that's what I joined, and I had no idea why I was really on Twitter, to be honest. I like Facebook. I still, for me personally, for my Jessie on a Journey travel blogging brand, I'm huge, huge, huge fan of Pinterest and Facebook. I enjoy Instagram. I'm active on it. Google Plus and Twitter, I'm on. I don't probably really need to be on those because I'm not really harnessing their powers. And that's not to say that Twitter is silly and you shouldn't be on it, but does it make sense for your audience? You know, where's your audience hanging out? What features of the platforms could you utilize? So for me, Facebook, one, I love Facebook ads. I've seen a lot of growth for my email list from Facebook ads, a lot of growth from signups for Facebook ads, and I love this feature, being able to go live and teach tactics and give web workshops. And Pinterest for me is huge because it works more like a search engine, so I can optimize my pins, you know, beautiful image, vertical pins, easy to read text with captivating headlines, but people can search you out using keywords. I just got a question. You don't really need to be everywhere is so important, as today is very social. Absolutely, Tracy. I always say, you know, even start with like 2, maybe 3 social media networks. Figure out, like I said, where's your audience hanging out? If you're not sure where they're hanging out, look at your other people in your niche who are doing well on social. Where are they hanging out? How are they utilizing these platforms? You can use BuzzSumo. Search your niche and it'll pull up the top articles and it will show you where these articles are being shared most. So that's another great indication. And again, looking at what features you'll use. 15, but you should be on Pinterest. So like I just said, Pinterest is not like the other social media channels. Each social media channel, of course, has its own unique features. So, you know, they're all starting to blend together. Instagram stories, Facebook stories, Snapchat. A lot of the features do overlap, but Pinterest is really unique. There are a lot of ways to put your Pinterest strategy on autopilot as well. So for me, I probably dedicate an hour a day to Pinterest maybe, and I see huge, huge results. And it's amazing because for so long, I thought Pinterest was for cats, for weddings, for recipes, all things. I mean, I love cats. I have a cat, but it's not really pertinent to my business. But when I realized that if I just took a little bit of time to revamp my profile, to really spend time making keyword-rich boards and descriptions for my pins, I could really see results. So just a few tips. Of course, your Pinterest profile for your brand should be relevant to your brand. So if you're writing about solo female travel, don't put your wedding planning board and your breakfast board on there too. Make sure that you are, again, living that mission through your Pinterest boards, and make your mission clear in the bio. So I like to have a really distinct picture, a close-up of your face, maybe with a bright background, really well lit. If you're not a photographer, your best bet, go outside on a sunny day and get lots of that natural light. Take a picture. Then in your bio, make it clear why someone should follow you. What will they get out of it? You could use that sentence that I mentioned before. I help blank group of people do blank. And again, keywords. It's like trying to rank for Google search. You want to think, what keywords could I put into the pin description? What keywords can I put in my boards? And make sure that you are keeping your boards clean. So if there's pins with broken links, if there's a lot of duplicates, if you look at your board and you realize that something got repinned that maybe isn't that attractive, delete it. And don't feel bad about deleting pins. If it got pinned somewhere else, it doesn't ruin that repin. It'll just get rid of it on your board. I also like to take part in collaborative Pinterest group boards. So I like the Ultimate Pinterest Group for Travel Bloggers, I believe it's called. And it's a Facebook group, but each day there's a thread. Everyone who wants to participate posts a travel related pin. So we're staying in the niche. Everyone is travel, so we're all pinning other travel pins. And we pin each other's stuff. So I've had a lot of pins get a lot of traffic being in front of these other audiences that way. Live video is powerful is my next tip. I've been doing so much research, and it is one of Facebook's newer features. It's not the newest feature. Right now, Square Video is really hot, I've heard, so I'm going to be experimenting with that soon. But live video on all platforms, whether you are on Instagram or Snapchat or Facebook, is really powerful. One, you could do something like this. You could teach your audience a strategy. You can physically take them with you somewhere. So I was just in Italy. I did a live video while I hiked the Amalfi Coast's Path of the Gods. And I had so many people tune in, email me that they loved that. It takes it beyond the blog post where you have your words and you have your descriptions and you have pictures. And even if you're a great photographer, nothing beats being there. And a live video, you're not there, but it's taking you that much closer to being there and really seeing and feeling what is going on. Best of all, people can ask questions, they can comment, and you can actually have a conversation with someone while you're doing this. 17, collaboration over competition. So I always say, I feel like collaboration will get you so much farther than competition when travel blogging. I've made so many friends. Even the one good thing I'll say about Twitter when I first started out was I met so many people on Twitter that I didn't know in real life, but then eventually I met them on press trips or doing campaigns together or just traveling on my own, and I'd be like, oh, hey, I'm in Rome. Handel lives there, let me reach out, meeting up with them for coffee. From there, you can collaborate on running a class together. I love personally doing collaborative posts where I'll come up with a topic and I'll get 10 plus bloggers to weigh in on the topic, and then once it's published, send it over to them and ask them, hey, can you also share in your channels? You're mentioned in this, and we'll do the same. Really promoting each other helps you create that network that eventually is going to push you even farther than just always trying to get ahead. Leverage each other's audiences and skills. If you are a Pinterest expert, I'm going to go off travel for a sec, but if you're, a coach or a Pinterest coach and Sarah is an Instagram coach, you guys can join forces and teach a class on that. Even a free class to engage your audience and really nurture the relationship you have with them, or even something paid. 18, don't underestimate the power of your about page. So I see a lot of people kind of just give a few sentences about themselves, and what I think is should really be on the about page is your story really about your audience. So I would always recommend using the about page to tell your story in the shoes of your audience so that they can really see how you relate to them and also how you can help them. So I always like to start with my beginning story. You know, I used to be like you, and you don't have to use those words, but basically, you know, there was a time when I was working hard to get that 9-to-5 job, and I knew there was something else out there, and then one day I took that leap, and this is what happened. So really try to connect with your audience that way. I also like to link to some of my best posts just to wow them right away, or if they are a new visitor, showing them where they should go once they are on the page. I let them know how I can help them, so I tell them about some of my free offerings as well as some of my paid offerings. And linked to those free offerings is my email subscription list. So I have free classes, I have free challenges, just need to opt into my list. Yes, loved it, Naomi. Thank you for tuning in. And yeah, make sure that you are asking them to subscribe right on that about page, because a lot of people, that might be the first page they see, and you really want to give them the full story, let them know why they should stick around and how you can help them. 19, your email list is your greatest asset, and this is something I say quite often. People are worried, especially right now. I keep hearing all about Instagram, and people are freaking out about gaining followers and losing followers, and oh, the likes are less. But guess what? We saw it with Vine. You don't own these followers any day, and I don't see Instagram dying anytime soon, but these can be taken away from you. Your email list is something you own. This is something that's yours. You can download it. These are people you can continue to converse with. And actually, these are people that have told you, hey, I like you enough that I gave you my information so that you can contact me regularly. So that's huge. These are your biggest, most passionate community members. So engage them. 20, reward your new subscribers with a content upgrade. So I just touched on that with the About page, but one of the most powerful strategies that I've implemented in the past year or so is content upgrades, or our content upgrades. So you can start with one. What I like to do is you have your niche, you know, how you'll help people. Break that up into a few categories, say 2 to 4 categories, and you can either create different content upgrades for each, or you can create a resource library. So what a content upgrade is, it's a free gift that your reader gets once they subscribe to your email list. So it's totally free, doesn't cost them anything, but they do need to give you their email. And what this also does is it helps you get targeted subscribers on your list, because I see this all the time in these Facebook groups. People are like, oh, can everyone join my email list? You don't want to get a bunch of other bloggers on your email list. You want to get your target audience on your email list so that you have people who are engaging with your content, entering your giveaways, you know, taking part in the campaigns that you do with brands, buying your products. That's who you want on your list. So start with one content upgrade. I like to advise choosing something that helps your readers solve a problem quickly, and you don't have to go overboard with this. This can be as simple as a checklist, a cheat sheet, a PDF, a worksheet, a workbook. If you're going to create different worksheets for your different posts, create a resource library. So that's what I do. For example, if I write a post on how to grow your travel Pinterest account, I'll create a Pinterest checklist. But if I do a post on creating a great travel blogging brand, I'll create a branding worksheet, and those will all go into one resource library that I constantly promote. That being said, I also cover, you know, solo female travel is a huge part of my brand. So I do have a solo female travel email course that I give to people who are reading my solo female travel content. And just a tip, if you're thinking, oh my gosh, how do you promote all these content upgrades in the right places? It's really easy. I use ConvertPlug. I forget how much it costs. It was less than $50 one-time fee. And you can set it up so that you can create different pop-ups, different sliders, different inline pop-ups that show up depending on what the reader is reading. So if you come to my website and you read a post on solo travel, versus if you come to my blog and read a post about blogging tips, versus if you come to my blog and read a post about New York City, you're going to get a different pop-up because I have different freebies based on what you're reading so that I can target the right people. I know not everyone who comes to my blog wants to start a blog, and I don't want to bombard them with this resource library. I want to give them something that will be more in line with what they're interested in. So ConvertPlug makes it really, really easy to set this up. And actually, I have so much fun creating these pop-ups. I make them exit intent as well, so it's not like, oh, I'm reading this great guide to solo travel, pop-up. Like, I do it so when they're satisfied, they've read the post, they're going to click away, then you see the pop-up. And hopefully, the post was so good that they're like, oh, I want more information from this girl. Sure, here's my email. And that's the goal. And if you do a good job with your free content, your content upgrade, these people will feel like you've helped them and they'll be more likely to return. So 21, keep them coming back with a content series. This is another really powerful strategy that I've leveraged in the last year or so. And I actually learned this from another, she's not a travel blogger, but she's just a online personality that I look up to, a business coach. Her name's Melissa Griffin. So she has an amazing podcast. If you ever are looking for an inspiring business podcast, Pursuit with Purpose. But anyway, she taught me about content series, and I've kind of adapted her strategy to fit with Jessie on a Journey and what I'm doing over there. But basically what you want to do is create 3 to 5 pieces of content that all link together to teach a different step of one strategy. So the idea is that people will read post 1, they'll learn a lot, and to get the next step in the strategy, they need to tune in to post 2. So once they read the whole series, they'll have learned a very encompassing strategy. So there's a few ways you can use the power of a content series to, 1, you're helping people through the content series, but 2, you can get people to sign up for your email list, and there's a few ways to do this. 1, in the intro, list the titles of all the posts that will be in the series. Once a new post in their series publishes, go back and link to anything published. So you want that list, all the posts that are live and published and can be read should be linked to in the list so people can easily click through and read what's available. Say you're on week 2. Week 2's post just published, so blog post number 2 in the series. In the list bullet lists, the drop-down list, you can put this right in the intro. You've linked to post 1, you've linked to post 2, which is actually the post that they'll probably be reading. And then under that, say, subscribe to be updated when the next post in the series goes live. So then they don't have to keep checking back. If they're interested in learning the strategy taught in the series, they can just opt in and you will send them an email when it goes live. Which, by the way, if you promise to do this, that means you also do need to let them know when it goes live. Another way is to create a content upgrade specifically for the series. So if you're teaching a strategy on growing a travel blog, have a workbook to go along with it, promote it multiple times throughout the content series, and get people to click in that way. You can even create like a workbook or worksheet to go along specifically with the strategy taught in the content series. So it's almost like you'll get a lot out of reading the series, but you can take it to the next level if you download this workbook and really get into learning the strategy and putting it into practice. I personally, you can have links to the content upgrade. I like to create a graphic in Canva, something nice and appealing that will make people a little bit more enticed to click. It looks nice and professional. You can use some icons of a checklist, and it looks really nice. Link that graphic, so when they click the graphic, they get your opt-in form, fill out the form, should be taken to the content upgrade. Tip number 22, save your wins. So it can be really easy to fall into a pit of self-doubt. We're all looking at each other. Oh, Mary Travels offers 10 courses and they look so professional, and Billy Travels makes these amazing drone videos, and what am I doing? I'm not even close to that. Forget all the negativity. Stop comparing yourself to others. We each have our own skills. We each have our own wins. Sometimes I feel like I'm having the best week ever, and another week I'm like, why am I doing this? I feel like I suck at this. we all feel that way. The biggest travel bloggers have their days too. So what I like to do is create a folder in Google Drive or wherever you want and write down your wins, screenshot that amazing Washington Post article that mentioned you, or make note of the awesome partnership you got. Really have this folder that you can refer to when you feel down on yourself and you're like, man, I'm not doing as good as I thought. I'm not doing as good as Mary and Billy and whoever. Look at that folder and remember all the awesome things that you also bring to the table. I used to screenshot, when I was first starting out and I was on Twitter, I remember Lonely Planet would tweet me quite a bit. And I would always screenshot it. I'm like, oh yeah, Lonely Planet retweeted me. And I have literally a folder full of these tweets, probably from 2013 or something. But I loved looking back on them. And actually, when I needed some kind of social proof, say I was entering a new partnership, you can kind of pull from these screenshots and things, add them to your media kit, or have them on hand to show people and say, okay, well, I got this deal, I collaborated with this great person, and have that for show a little bit more of what you can offer. 23, segment that to-do list. So I am so guilty of becoming a crazy stress head, waking up feeling like I don't even have time to brush my hair. And as I've gotten older, I've gotten so much better with that. It used to be really bad. And I've developed a few strategies for kind of easing my mind and making sure that I'm enjoying every single day. I didn't get into travel blogging because I thought I would make $1 million. It's, that's the goal. I would love to make $1 million, but I got into it because I wanted a true quality of life that I would look forward to. More than the money, I wanted freedom, time freedom, freedom to plan my own day the way I wanted to. And for a while, I felt like I was working harder than I would if I had a 9-to-5 job or was working on Wall Street or something. Not that I would ever be working on Wall Street. I know nothing about money, but So one thing that's helped me quite a bit is segmenting my to-do list. So instead of writing this massive to-do list, because the to-do list never ends, I have this idea in my head, or I used to, that, oh, if I just work a little bit longer, a little bit more, the to-do list will disappear. But no, there's always something to do. So instead, look at your calendar for the month or the next few months. And maybe you even want to print out, if you go on Pinterest, so many people have these scheduling and calendar printables. I actually have printed a few out. They're literally right there on my wall. I have the next 3 months printed out of the big projects I need to get done, the kind of sub-tasks that I need to do to get them done, and I've scheduled them. Okay, task 1, week 1. Task 2, week 2. So instead of being like, oh my gosh, I have to launch this whole course in a month, I'm like, okay, by the end of the month, a course is going to be complete, and this is how I'm going to get there. Because on week 1, I'm going to write out the lesson. Week 2, I am going to reach out to bloggers who might want to help me promote it. If you kind of organize yourself that way, it won't seem like you have just too much to do and break down, because it'll never happen. It'll be a little bit more digestible. 24, learn from others. So, props to you, because you're already doing this. You are here on the Facebook Live. But one thing that's really helped me find blogging success is learning from my peers who have already done it. So I always tell this story, and yes, complete disclosure, I obviously sell classes. I am a blog coach. This is a main way that I keep my business going. But complete honesty, one of the first things I did when I started blogging was I enrolled in a course, and I saved myself so much time. So even if you don't sign up for my course, signing up for classes and masterminds and coaching programs and even the free webinars that everyone offers, you're gonna get ahead than if you just try to figure out everything on your own. Because pretty much anything you want to know, if you're like, I want to learn Facebook ads, there is endless information on the internet about Facebook ads. Is all of it correct? No. Is a lot of it correct? I'm sure there are plenty of articles that are telling you great things to do. You're going to spend a lot of time figuring out what things mean. What's a lookalike audience? What's a warm audience? Why should I target a warm audience first? It's very confusing if you've never done it. instead of like hunkering down for weeks or months to figure out how to create your first Facebook ad, you can take a class and learn right away, or get a coach and figure out right away, okay, these are the steps that I can take to launch my first Facebook ad, or optimize my Pinterest boards, or whatever that is. Or, you know, how do I find my purpose? I know that I enjoy traveling. I know that I typically like to hike when I go traveling. How can I put these things, you know, these interests, these passions into a brand that is profitable and purposeful? So I'm helping people and creating a sustainable business. So learn from those who have already done it. You will save yourself so much time. You know, even the class I took, it saved me from researching all the questions that we have. And there are so many questions when you're first starting out, because like I said, it's not just writing a blog post and hitting publish. It takes me at least, like minimum a week, it takes me to get a blog post ready to go, but often longer, because there's so many steps to really do it right and make sure that it gets out there and that people share it and read it and love it and people sign up for your email list. There's so much. So save yourself the time and learn from those who already know what to do because they've done it. Tip number 25, don't neglect SEO. And if you don't know what SEO is, maybe you've heard the term, it's search engine optimization, doing certain things to your post to make it rank higher in Google search for certain keywords that you want it to rank for. So if you're writing about awesome things to do in New York City, maybe NYC attractions is your keyword, you're gonna optimize your post to rank higher in Google search. Let Google know that not only is your post about NYC attractions, but it is really awesome and it's something you want to show at the top, because Google wants their searchers to be happy with the content they find. When they search NYC attractions, Google's best interest is to make sure that the people searching that keyword are finding the best posts on NYC attractions. So there are certain things you can do to help your post rank higher. It's a very long topic, very in-depth, but at the base of it is keyword research. There is a free plugin you can download called Yoast SEO that helps you optimize for your keywords. It will literally, when you tell it your keyword for a specific post, it will give you actionable steps on what to do to help it rank higher. Do know though that you don't want to keyword stuff your article to the point where you sound like a robot. Your first interest, Google's first interest is making their searchers happy. Your first interest is making sure that the people reading your content think that you wrote it in your own voice and that you sound like a human and not a robot. So if Yoast is saying, oh, try to get the keyword in the first sentence or two, and it just sounds so weird to do that, skip that step. There are other things you can do to get that. Yoast gives you a green light when it's got the good SEO. So to get that green light, you don't have to do every single thing. Don't do things that will hurt the integrity or the feel of your post. You want to be a human, not a robot. Tip number 26, slow and steady wins the race and the paycheck. So one thing I have in my coaching course and my classes, a lot of my students join, they start their blogs right there and they are like, okay, I wrote my first post, why isn't anyone reading it? How can I get brands to pay me? How can I get on free trips? How do I start making money? It takes time. And the thing with blogging is you do need to create your brand first. You need to build that free content, that amazing free content. You need to help your audience, and you need to grow your authority so that people see you as someone that is worth listening to, that's worth reading your posts and trusting. And that's all stuff you're going to do in the beginning. To be honest, a lot of brands won't work with bloggers that are less than a year old because there isn't really like a staying power validated yet. If you've had your blog for a month, is, Joe Schmo's brand gonna pay you to promote their product? No, because, in a month, maybe you're gonna be like, this is too hard, I don't wanna do it. And that would have been for nothing. So they do typically like to see that you've been around for at least a year. So take that time to really build your brand, create that amazing content, in-depth content that leaves no questions unanswered for your audience. Build up your channels, figure out your social media strategy so that you're optimizing for each channel using the features of these channels that will help your brand and help your audience, creating these amazing content upgrades that people will, love and be helped by, getting on your list, and eventually you can pitch your product. A lot of travel bloggers also just kind of, or at least in the beginning, maybe they're not even aware that selling products and services is an option, but free trips isn't, again, it's not the only way to do things. In fact, you're not going to be sustainable if you're just going on a ton of free trips, because you're not going to pay your rent, you're not going to be able to eat, and you're going to starve. Sorry to be so blunt. But creating products and services that are a natural extension of your content and your content upgrades is really smart, because people will be like, oh my gosh, she wrote this amazing post on how to create a great Pinterest bio. I loved her worksheet on how to revamp my Pinterest profile. I took her free Pinterest makeover course and it was great. If she's giving this away for free, I want to see what's in the paid Pinterest makeover course, whatever that is, whatever your product is. So that's a good way to be sustainable, but it takes time. Give yourself the time to really build things out in a quality way that will impress people, that will really wow them. And that's why, just a quick aside, I didn't quit my job and start a blog. I waitressed for a year or so until I was doing well enough with my blog to quit. And for many people, it does take more than a year to get to a point where you're making real money. I was really, really, really aggressive with pursuing this. And I also did keep some outside clients. When I started blogging, I was writing for Gadling was a publication at the time. It was a Huffington Post publication I was writing for, I think USA Today maybe. A few outside publications. I was writing for a few brands, doing copywriting. I was helping a few startups with their social media. So all things I could do on my own time on the road to continue traveling and building up my blog. But I still had this kind of security until I was able to really let go. So it's just something to keep in mind. You don't need to just dive all right in. Make sure you are getting money while you build up your brand, because if you think that in 2 months you're going to be making, $50,000 plus, you're going to be sadly disappointed and your landlord's going to want some rent. So no, for tip number 27, a press trip is not a free trip. So I always get people asking, oh my gosh, how do you get on these free trips? And that's not the best way to word it, because it really isn't a free trip. If you're working with a brand, whether the brand is paying you to go on a trip, because that is the thing as well, or if it's just a free trip that they're hosting you and you're going to write about the trip, things are expected of you. It's not just, oh, I'm going to drink a million mojitos, get a tan, go home, post a pic on Instagram, it'll be all good. There's usually some expectations of blog content produced, daily social media shares, maybe depending on your contract, maybe you have an agreement to give some photos to them or create a video, whatever that is, you are working on the trip. So of course, have fun. Press trips are typically full of snorkeling and hiking and eating great food and other wonderful things that are showing you the things that they think you'll find interesting and fun. But know that you are working and you should also be responsible. So this isn't the time to have 20 margaritas and take your shirt off and dance on a table. I mean, I don't know when you would do that, but maybe on vacation you get a little crazy. The press trip is not the time to get crazy and be doing all that. Have fun, have a good time, be yourself, but still be professional. I always, a lot of times they'll allow alcohol. I typically look at the person hosting the trip. Okay, if they're having 2 drinks, I'll get the second drink too. If they stopped at 1 and the rest of the group isn't really doing it, I'm not going to just get another margarita because I want to. Be respectful and understand where you are and what your purpose for being there is. They chose you not because they're just being super generous and want to give you a free trip. They chose you because they think that you have the right audience and something to offer that can help their brand or their client's brand. Figure out how you can further help your audience. So the key to creating a sustainable blogging business is products and services. So I kind of already went over this, but yeah, I also love products and services. I'll build on that now, because there's something that can earn you income even when you're really tired. Guess what? Traveling all the time is really, really, really exhausting. So having courses that you sell, which I think courses and classes are the best product or service you could offer. I'm sure other people have their own opinions, but you really get to help people and live your passion. And you don't have to be tip-top shape every single day. If you wake up and you have the flu, it's not like, oh man, I'm not going to get paid today because I can't write, or I can't travel, or I'm too tired to do XYZ. Your products or services should get to a place where they're kind of selling themselves. So something to keep in mind, because the goal isn't that you have a business where you're worked to death every day and you have to constantly be traveling or you're making no money. You want to have a sustainable business that works even when you need to take a little break. 20 minutes a day keeps the doctor away is my tip number 29, or at least will give you some sanity. So I, for so long, like I said, was getting up and just running around working for way too long without taking a break or really thinking about what I needed. Now I wake up and I do 15 minutes of yoga every morning, followed by 5 minutes of meditation. It's something new I've been implementing. Yoga I love. Meditation is something kind of new for me. I'm not so great at it yet, but I am getting a little bit better day by day, and it's something I know so many amazing influencers and so many of the online business people that I personally look up to all swear by meditation. I do notice that when I start my day doing something that just lets me breathe and, center myself and get focused, that focus lasts throughout the day. And even if, 1 o'clock comes around and I find myself scrambling again, I can get back on the floor, do, whatever, 5-10 minutes of yoga, breathing, a 5-minute meditation, whatever it is, just to reground myself. And it seems like for many, before you actually do it, it seems like, oh man, I don't have 10 minutes to spare. But in reality, that 10 minutes is going to make you so much more productive for the rest of the day that it's, more than 10 minutes gained, I'll say. And it sounds maybe crunchy or like, oh yeah, sure, you really do that. And that's kind of how I always thought. I'm like, do all these people really meditate? I don't believe it. But really, it is so helpful. I promise you. There's also apps now that help you. I typically go on YouTube because I can't just sit there for 5 minutes. And maybe I'll get to this point. I can't just sit there and be like, so I'll do the guided meditations. There's a guy named, I believe his name is Deepak Chopra. He was on Melissa Griffin, one of the people I really look up to in business. He was on her podcast, which is how I discovered him. And he has some great meditations online that are different from all the other stuff that you typically hear. So look him up if you're looking for something a bit different. It was really, really interesting. For tip number 30, learn the art of honest sponsorships. So this has changed for the better, I think, so much from the beginning when I started blogging. But I still do know people do this, say you're working on a piece of sponsored content with a brand. A lot of people will be like, oh, this brand isn't so great. They have an ugly website. I would never recommend them. I don't like their product, but I want the money. So I'm going to write an article really quick or put their crappy article up, but just hide it on my site. There's such a better way to do sponsored content. First of all, I know plenty of bloggers don't even do sponsored content anymore. I do, and I have my own method that I use so that it doesn't turn anyone off. One, I'll only partner with brands that I like. But two, say, Joe's Candy Bars, whoever. I don't know if I would partner with Joe's Candy Bars. I don't even know what that is. But anyway, Joe's Candy Bars or Joe's Energy Bars. It's more travel-y. Ask me to partner with them for a piece of sponsored content. I'll, in the intro, say, recently, Joe's Protein Bars asked me for my 5 top tips of how I stay fit on the road. Here's my answer below. So the content becomes something I could have written anyway. I love writing about wellness. And I'm giving them their shout out in the intro. They're getting mentioned as the sponsor. They're getting mentioned for their product. Or you can even say, Joe's Protein Bars, give a little description of the company. They want just a little bit of background info there. And then get into it. And it's not spammy. It's native to your blog because you're writing something you would naturally write and you're just giving them the shout out. Regardless of the type of partnership, always mention when something was sponsored. If you're being paid for something, that doesn't mean if you say, oh, it was sponsored by XYZ Travel, that people are like, oh, I'm not reading it was sponsored. I have not seen any drop in readership on my sponsored versus non-sponsored posts. If it's a great post, if you're honest that it was sponsored, and if you're not like, Joe or Jane's Hotels sponsored my stay, I'm not going to in the intro say, oh my gosh, Jane's Hotel is hands down the best hotel I've ever stayed in. You have to stay there, or you didn't even experience the destination. That's over the top. Still be yourself. You can be like, okay, I stayed at Jane's. It was really awesome. They hosted me. I loved the pool, spent a lot of time there. They make a great margarita. Had a lot of fun at their, stand-up comedy night on Thursday. Just be honest about what your experience was, and people will enjoy that, and they'll feel like you're helping them understand the hotel versus just marketing at them. And my final tip, number 31, give more than you get. So this is something kind of I already touched on, but I want to bring it all back. You have your purpose, your mission. This is how you want to help people. Then you continue helping them through amazing free, in-depth content on your blog, free social media shares and content that further help them. You create some videos. Video is huge right now. Free classes like this. You go live on Facebook to teach a strategy, whatever it is. Help them that way. You get them to get onto your email list through an amazing content upgrade that helps them solve a problem quickly. You create an automated funnel. So I have a 7-email automated funnel when you get onto my list. And it's not just like stupid emails. I actually get compliments all the time that people enjoy my emails. They do. But my emails will teach you a strategy. I share my story in a way that relates to you, so you know who you're talking to, what you're getting out of it. I bust myths. Give them a funnel that nurtures them, helps them, so that they're like, wow, I love being a subscriber on the list. I'm getting so much out of following this person. And then at the end of your automation funnel, or whenever you want to, you can pitch your product or service in a way that's like, oh my gosh, I've already gotten so much. Sure, this sounds great. You don't want, on your email list, you don't want to constantly be sending pitch after pitch after pitch. Offer, 3 free classes, free checklists, free giveaways, all the fun, great stuff that's going to help them and keep them engaged. And then you can ask them to share your content, click over to a link, or buy a product, whatever that is. So give way more than you get. And it'll help people really trust you, feel like you are the authority on a topic, and like you are the one who can really help them. So I hope you enjoyed tips 11 through 31 of my full 31 tip list. I am going to be reposting this video and giving you the link to opt into the full list. One click, add your email, and you'll be taken right to the list. Additionally, I'll be sharing the link to Travel Blog Prosperity. The last day to sign up for the coaching program is September 30th. So you'll want to sign up right away so you don't miss your seat. You're gonna get a full month of coaching for just $1. This is not an offer that is given very often, and it's not something you'll really see anywhere else for this level of coaching. First month is all about branding and defining that purpose that I kept talking about. So you'll really want to be there and learn how to build that amazing foundation that you can build on so that you're continuously helping your community and getting people engaged. So I'll be back next week with another workshop.